Hey everyone, welcome back to Yulan's channel. Today we'll be talking about Unit 6.3 Cognitive Development in Childhood. So keep watching if you want to learn more about how children develop for example, their ability to perform complex tasks. So keep watching. So just like motor skills, cognitive skills develop in more or less fixed sequences as well. The series of Jean Piaget and Lev Vygotsky formed the cornerstones of cognitive development theory. The series of Swiss psychologist Jean Piaget were and continue to be instrumental in understanding the cognitive development of children. Piaget isolated 4 stages of cognitive development and identified key developmental phenomena within each stage. Piaget's theory centers around the ideas of schemas or mental frameworks. As child develops, they rely on these schemas to make sense of new information. In fact, even as adolescents and adults, we're still heavily dependent upon our existing schemas of how the world works. According to Piaget, children expand upon and fine-tune these schemas through the processes of assimilation and accommodation. First, children assimilate experiences into existing schemas. Early on, a child may develop a schema for dog based on their exposure to the family pet. From this, they may assimilate all novel and similar stimuli into the schema, such as all 4-legged animals. A young child may see a horse for the first time and excitedly point to it, claiming it to be a dog. As children interact with the world, they begin to accommodate or adapt schemas in order to account for new information. The child will eventually learn that the schema of a dog is far too broad to account for all 4-legged animals, and will begin to fine-tune their understanding of the animal kingdom based on this observation. Piaget studied children for many years and concluded that cognitive development consists of 4 major stages, and is shown here. Each stage corresponds with a typical age range and a general tendency towards a specific way of thinking. Throughout these stages, children mature from concrete thinking to more abstract cognitive abilities, which Piaget identified as operational thinking. So the first stage is the sensorimotor stage. This occurs from birth until roughly 2 years of age. In this stage, infants readily observe the world around them and take in new information via their senses, such as looking, hearing, touching, smelling, and tasting. As motor skills develop and the child gains control over their limbs, they can further explore the world around them. According to Piaget, the main cognitive development in this stage is that of object permanence, the child's ability to understand that an object exists, even if we are not consciously aware of it. Babies reach this milestone around 6 to 8 months. If you have ever played peekaboo with a newborn, you may notice that they are extremely interested in the way one simile appears and disappears right in front of their eyes. Similarly, if a child toy falls behind the couch, they may cry thinking that it's gone forever. If mom steps out of the room for a moment, the infant may once again cry, believing that she too is gone forever. As the child matures, they are able to grasp the concept of object permanence. They understand that just because something is not within their sensory awareness does not mean it doesn't exist. A young child with object permanence may actually look behind the couch for the lost toy, or may find solace in knowing that mom will eventually return from the next room. Also, separation anxiety and stranger anxiety occur in this stage. The child forms close bonds with their primary caregiver and may experience separation anxiety when separated from said caregiver. Similarly, when left with an unfamiliar stranger, such as a new babysitter, the child may feel fearful and show signs of distress. Not all babies show this degree of separation and stranger anxiety, but many do so. Then we have the pre-operational stage. So, according to Piaget, the children remain in this stage until the age of 6 or 7. So, in this stage, the child begins to acquire language, but still lacks the higher level thinking skills, such as symbolic thinking, that are present in adolescents and adults. One example of higher level mental processing can be seen through the concept of conservation. If you are asked to look at 2 beakers, one shallow and wide, which is this one here, one wide and one and the other tall and narrow, you may concur that both beakers contain roughly the same amount of fluid. Sure, beaker A appears to be wider, but you're also likely to understand that beaker B is taller, which means it can account for the same amount of liquid. Before the age of 6, children may not understand this concept. Children in this stage are also egocentric. They have difficulty understanding the views of others. A young child may stand directly in front of the TV, completely unaware of the fact that they are blocking the views of others. In their mind, if they can see the TV, so can everyone else. Despite this, children in this stage will begin to develop the theory of mind, which is a general understanding of their own and others' mental states. They can identify if their playmate is angry and will even be able to understand what may have made them angry. They quickly learn what kind of behavior pleased their parents and can even begin to understand what needs to occur in order to get things they want. For example, the child may understand that if they want a new toy, they will have to behave. With this, children begin to develop empathy and skills of persuasion. They may even learn to lie, which requires them to understand what the other person wants to hear. Alternatively, children with autism spectrum disorder (ASD), a disorder marked by social deficiencies, may not develop this theory of mind as seamlessly. Children with ASD tend to have more trouble understanding the emotions, desires, and reasoning of those around them. This understanding may come later as the result of more conscious attention to social cues, or it may not come at all. Children in this stage will also favor pretend play. According to Piaget, pretend play allows children to further develop and solidify schemas. Furthermore, pretend play allows children to experiment with new scenarios. On the flip side, he found observing the pretend play of children to be a very useful tool in understanding their perception and cognitive development. Then we have Piaget's concrete operational stage, which begins around age 6 or 7 and lasts until roughly 12. So in this stage, children begin to grasp conservation. Similarly, they can begin to understand more complex problem solving so long as they are given concrete materials. If a child is asked to add 4 plus 5, they may use drawings or markers to complete the activity. They are not yet able to mentally or abstractly compute this information, but they can certainly solve it when giving a concrete example. With this, operational thought begins to develop. The final stage here is a formal operational stage. Around age 12, reasoning expands from purely concrete to more abstract. This development of operational thought continues to unfold throughout adolescence. Children learn to infer and deduce based on their ability to reason, even if these concepts are not totally concrete at first. Now is the cognitive development series from Lev Vygotsky. So Russian psychologist Lev Vygotsky saw cognitive development as much more fluid. Instead of occurring naturally and in fixed stages, Vygotsky theorized that cognitive development occurred gradually and is furthered by language and social interaction, particularly through interactions with individuals who are more skilled and cognitively advanced. Children also learn the skills of more complex cognition. Vygotsky believed that cognitive development was incumbent upon language acquisition and communication. Young children may echo their parents' word of no or bad when trying to resist the urge to do something they know they shouldn't. Children who mutter to themselves while performing math problems tend to master these skills more quickly. While Piaget believed that parents and teachers support the child's natural and largely inherent cognitive development, Vygotsky reasoned that parents and teachers provide opportunities to interact with and learn from those with more skilled abilities. Vygotsky referred to these more developed mentors as more knowledgeable others. According to Vygotsky, children will developmentally approach readiness to learn a new skill. We refer to this as the zone of proximal development, which is a bridge between what the children cannot do and what they can do. In this stage, children show readiness and potential to learn a given task, but require the interaction and coaching of others to master it. For example, a young child may approach the zone of proximal development for walking between 6 months and 1 year old. They may begin to rear themselves up or rely on objects to sustain their balance. Through the aid of mom and dad holding their hands and walking with them, the child will eventually take their own first unaided steps. Vygotsky's theory have been especially important in the area of teaching. Through the use of scaffolding, which is like supporting or coaching students as they work toward more complex tasks, children can develop higher-level cognitive abilities. As a child learns to read, the parents or teacher may first read aloud to the child and incorporate new vocabulary as they go. Eventually, the more knowledgeable other may begin to ask the child to sound out words on their own or ask the child to recall what a particular word means. Over time, the task of reading is increasingly passed on from the parent or teacher to the child. So that's the end of this video, and thank you for watching.